Have you ever wondered why you are... Have you ever wondered why you are able to see a reflection in a mirror? An even more important question is why do we even see a table or a chair or our phone sitting on the table? The answer to these questions happens to be one of the simplest laws in physics. It's called the law of reflection. The law of reflection states that the angle of the incident light ray is equal to the angle of the reflected light ray. To understand what these angles and light rays stand for, check out this diagram depicting the law of reflection. In this depiction, the blue band represents a mirror, which reflects rays of light. The most important thing about the law of reflection is shown as a dashed line in the figure labeled the normal. The normal line is just a line drawn to the surface of the mirror that makes a 90-degree angle to the mirror. This line is used as a reference point for all of the angles in the law of reflection. The incident ray is the beam of light that initially strikes the mirror, and the reflected ray is the beam of light that bounces off the mirror after striking the mirror. The angle of incidence is the angle that the incident ray makes with the normal, and the angle of reflection, or reflected angle, is the angle that the reflected ray makes with the normal. The equation for the law of reflection is given by the following formula. So this law states that any ray of light that strikes an object will reflect off the object such that striking or incident angle is identical to the reflecting angle as measured from the normal. The law of reflection tells us that light reflects from objects in a very predictable manner. So the question is, why do we see objects like a table or a chair? These objects do not produce their own light, so in order for us to see any object, light must strike the object and reflect from the object into our eyes. More specifically, in order for us to be able to see objects, the light reflecting off an object must make its way directly to our eyes. So how does the light get from the object to our eyes? It does so through one of the two types of reflection, specular and diffuse reflection. Specular reflection is reflection off smooth surfaces. We can think of a beam of light as being composed of a bundle of many rays of light. When the beam hits a smooth surface like a mirror or a still pond, the rays collectively travel together with the same intensity and undisturbed. You've seen specular reflection at work whenever you look at a peaceful lake, where the background is reflected across the surface of the water. Let's say you are driving at night on a wet road. The light from your headlights hits the wet road and reflects back at you in an annoying glare. Specular reflection is responsible for the glare. The water on the road creates a smooth surface for the light to reflect off, and since the light bundle travels together with the same intensity, the glare reflects back at you, impairing your vision. Diffuse reflection is reflection off rough surfaces. When a beam of light strikes a rough surface, the individual rays no longer reflect together as a bundle. Instead, the individual rays reflect in a variety of random directions due to the uneven surface. To use water as an example again, consider water hitting a foamy wave crashing against the beach. The foam and roughness of the water makes the surface rough, and therefore the waves become diffuse. If you drive at night on a dry road, the roughness of the road diffuses the light. As a result, you do not get the annoying glare. So, put simply, reflection is light bouncing off surfaces. The law of reflection determines how the light bounces off a surface. The law of reflection states that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. The angle of incidence is the angle that an incoming beam of light makes with the normal, an imaginary line that makes a 90-degree angle with the reflecting surface. The angle of reflection is the angle that the light bouncing off the surface makes with the normal. We see objects because light bounces off or reflects off objects in two different ways. If the object is smooth, then the reflection is called specular. If the surface is rough, then the reflection is called diffuse.